Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. We come to you this evening after a good Monday night game on the Francesa channel, on the Bet Rivers Network, on YouTube, after the Chiefs with an overtime win against the gutty Bucs, who I thought played really well. You know, they're shorthanded, they're banged up at wide receiver. But I thought they played a very good game. I thought Aikman hit it on the head. I thought Troy really did. The only chance Tampa had was to go for two there. They have a real myriad of backs. They got good backs. They could come up with a play there that would work. They have a tight end he likes to hit. Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback. He did a nice job taking them down the field. The only chance, because once you get to overtime, you're not going to beat them. If you get the coin toss, you might score. If you don't score, because you're going to have trouble blocking Chris Jones. If you get a field goal, they're going to come down and get a touchdown. If they win the coin toss, they're going to get a touchdown, which they did. You're not going to beat them in overtime in their building. I think he really is going to kick himself that he didn't try and just play for overtime there. He's a defensive coach. It's hard for him to take it to one offensive play. I understand that because that's not his mentality. But I thought that was the play there. And give the Bucs credit. They put on a heck of a show tonight. And for to come from behind, as they did, as shorthanded as they are right now at wide receiver, come back and tie the game up. Heck of a performance. And Baker Mayfield has become a good NFL quarterback. He really has. All right, a couple of things here right now. You know that we're on the eve of the trading deadline. You thought I was going to say election. No, trading deadline. We'll get to the election in a little while. Trading deadline tomorrow, 4 p.m. Baron Browning went to the Cards, who were trying to start and think they can get to the playoffs. Now they're 5-4. They get the Jets this week. Talking about the Jets, their game against the Colts next week. They play Arizona this week on the road. Next week, they're going to play the Colts in prime time. That's off. They're playing now at 1 o'clock. Chargers are playing against the Bengals in prime time. Once the Bengals won yesterday and the Colts lost last night, that took care of that. They've had enough of the Jets and the Colts. Now they got the Bengals, who are 4-5, against the Chargers, who are playing well, Harbaugh, etc. So that's now in prime time, and Jets and Colts is 1 o'clock. So that's gone. Now they have the Jets finally out of all their prime time games. As for the Giants, you know they're playing in Munich this week. Hey, I thought the idea for the NFL was to import a product that maybe somebody would like to, enjoy. You're sending them, the Giants and the Panthers, to Germany? I mean, really. Talk about sending them. It's not exactly sending them the Ravens and the Chiefs there. You're sending them the Giants and the Panthers. But hey, whatever. They're going to play in Germany this Sunday. Giants are favored. It's about the only team they could be favored against is Carolina on a neutral field. They wouldn't be favored against about anybody else in the league. So that's the bottom line. Carolina coming off a win that, I mentioned. That's the kind of game that gets you fired. I didn't think they'd axe Dennis Allen that quickly. They did. He's gone. I knew he was going to get fired. I didn't know if he would go now. He went now after that loss. Hey, he was decimated by injuries, as the Cowboys are now. Two Cowboys were going nowhere this year anyway. Now they're completely decimated by injuries with Dak down and Lamb hurting. Lamb might only miss a week. Dak might miss 4 to 6. So he could be out a while. Back to the trade deadline for a second. I don't buy these Myles Garrett stories. I don't buy them for a second. Cleveland's going to ask for a king's ransom before they're going to trade away one of the best football players in the country. That is not going to happen. I would be stunned if they trade Myles Garrett. Now, Zadarius Smith to the Lions, I expect to happen tomorrow. So I expect Zadarius Smith to go to the Lions. The question is, will the Giants trade anybody? John Mara doesn't like to make trades on the trade deadline because it basically admits that your season's over. He doesn't like to admit his season's over. Even if he gets a win this week at 3-7, in his mind, his season's not over yet because he likes to think his season's not over yet. So if Slayton were healthy, I think he might get traded because everybody needs wide receivers. He's got the concussion deal now, so he's probably not going to get traded. I don't know if the Giants will send one of their pass rushers packing. We'll see. They could trade a couple of different players. A lot of talk of Mike Williams going from the Jets. He's very unhappy there. Let him go. He's not that important to them anyway. So if he wants to go somewhere else, let him go. You know, Amari Cooper was a good trade. Getting Hopkins for a fifth rounder might turn out by the end of the season to be the steal of a lifetime. I mean, he is going to hook up with Mahomes like crazy. It's going to open everything up for them. He's going to become their number one receiver along with Kelsey. It's going to revitalize Kelsey. It's going to be the best thing the Chiefs could ever have happened. Have a guy that good who's going to be revitalized. Gets 2 touchdowns tonight. I mean, the guy's a great receiver. He's always been a great receiver. He's just been on bad teams. So now here he's with an undefeated team that can go to a Super Bowl. And right now, the question is anybody going to get in the way of the Chiefs or the Lions? Because they're clearly the best 2 teams. So let's see. That would be I tell you, I've always been rooting for the Lions to get to a Super Bowl. The Lions and Cleveland. Okay, now either one. But I'd really like to see the Lions get to a Super Bowl, and I think this year they're going to. McCaffrey, it sounds like, is coming back for San Francisco. Not too late for them to make a playoff run, but I think the Lions are by far the best team, and they're going to do it with offense because they have great skill behind the best offensive line in the sport. They're not going to kill you with defense. You can move the ball on them. But they have a bold coach, and they have great playmakers behind a great offensive line. So they're going to score a ton of points on just about anybody. They're that good. So Giants in Munich against the Panthers. Jets, Arizona coming up. I told you, I'm not taking it just seriously till they win 3 games in a row. They win 3 games in a row, we'll talk. But till then, no reason to talk. And the Colt game now is a 1 o'clock game. Didn't deserve to be in prime time. Anyway, prime time has seen enough of the Jets. And just remember, the trade deadline's tomorrow at 4. I don't see that many more wide receivers getting traded because you know what? A lot of people are banged up at wide receiver. And, there's not, Rams aren't trading anybody now. So, Cooper Kupp's not going anywhere. Rams aren't making any trades because they're right in the mix now. A lot of teams got guys banged up. Not enough to go around. So I do not see too many more guys getting traded from the wide receiver spot. I do think Smith's going to go to the Lions. I think you'll probably get a couple other trades. I do not think Myles Garrett will be traded. And I don't think any quarterbacks are going to be traded. I do not think they are. Now, college basketball is about to start, but you know what? November is such a slow easing into college basketball. You have plenty of time to talk about it. There's no reason to talk about it this early. You got all of December to talk about it. So let it just unfold as it does very quietly. It sneaks up on you. It's already underway. Teams are playing this week, but go about their business, get a couple of games in before the start of the season. Should be an interesting year around here. St. John's has improved. They got a good backcourt. They're a tournament team this year. UConn's, another monster. Then now, are they the best team? No, but they're still a top 10 team. So they expect to have a really big team. So let's see what happens. But we have plenty of time to talk about that. Now, tomorrow, the only contest that counts is the election. It's been a absolutely insane election period. Let's be honest. I'm very glad it's over. I can't look at any more political ads. The only thing I hope for, I don't care who you're rooting for. We all expect it to be close. Unfortunately, there's a chance if it's Arizona, if it's Nevada, if it's Pennsylvania, it could be slow as far as the results. I just hope we don't have all the nonsense and all the challenges and all the nonsense. Let's have a election. Let the winner congratulate the winner, and let's have an orderly transition here and not have all the nonsense anymore. I mean, we've got to get past this because it's just not good. And it takes a lot away from something that's been very special. I've always loved election night on a presidential election year. Loved it. I love to watch it. I like to watch it unfold. I like all the history, the speech. I like every bit of it. It has really been hurt. It's been sullied by all this nonsense. It really has. So let's just knock that nonsense off and just move on. And whoever wins, wins. That's it. And that's it. We honor who wins and we move on. You know, um, we got a lot of work to do no matter which one wins. A lot of work. A lot of things have to improve. And hopefully they will. So I'm not getting into politics about who's going to win or not win. I don't know who's going to win. I'll be honest with you. I think it's that close. I think it's I here's what I thought, and I follow it fairly closely. I thought that Trump was going to destroy Biden. Um, she came in and got a tremendous surge. She raised an insane amount of money. She moved quickly in the polls, and then she seemed to lose ground. And then the last 10 days to 2 weeks, she seems to have really gained ground again. So to me, it's very much a flip of a coin. Very much a flip of a coin. And if anyone tells you they know who's going to win, then they're lying to you because they don't know. This is going to be very, very close. Probably, I don't know if it'll be as close as Bush Gore because I don't know how anything could be closer than Bush Gore, which came down to a handful of votes in Florida. So I don't know that anything could be like that night. If you remember that night, you know, Gore concedes, he takes it back. We go back and forth. They have to take back their declaration of who won. Then all of a sudden, Florida, 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 all the back and forth and everything that went on, the hanging chairs, if you remember, and all the nonsense. And you can just watch the movie. If you have nothing to do tomorrow, watch the movie Recount, which will remind you of how all this craziness between the Democrats and the Republicans started. It started with Bush Gore. That's what really started it. And it even started before Trump. Trump gets blamed for it being, he heightened it, but he didn't start it. It really started with Bush Gore and the way they stopped the count and everything else. So I mean, that's what happened. Um, no one's trusted anybody as far as the two parties since Bush Gore. Now, an election can't be closer than that. It just can't. And I remember, the night Trump won in 16, people thought Hillary was going to win. Even people who were around Trump told me that Trump thought Hillary was going to win until around 5 o'clock when all of a sudden they came to him and said, "Hey, things are not exactly as everyone thought they were going to be. You have a very good chance here to win." And then all of a sudden around 8 o'clock, he started seeing Secret Service agents and everything around him, and he realized he was going to win. Biden won by more, despite the challenges, he won by a bigger margin than Trump did in terms of the electoral college. I don't know if this could be as close as Bush Gore again. It's going to be very close. It's going to come down to 7 states. If you want to zero in on one state, Pennsylvania is going to probably decide this. I don't know if either person could win without Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania is going to be razor close. They both finished up in Pennsylvania. I don't even know if they're finished yet. As a matter of fact, I think they each might be speaking now or closing at midnight in Pennsylvania. I think Trump is in. I think Trump is going to Michigan tonight for his last speech, and she was in Philadelphia tonight for her last speech, sometime before midnight. I'm pretty sure Trump was in Reading, then he was in Pittsburgh, and then he was going to either Ann Arbor or somewhere in Michigan to make his last, maybe Grand Rapids, to make his last speech this evening. And she was going to Philadelphia for hers. She had spent the whole day in Philadelphia. I mean, in Pennsylvania, she made like 5 stops in Pennsylvania. The last one's going to be in Philadelphia this evening, sometime around midnight. So we're finally there. Everybody vote, because you know what? You can't complain if you don't vote. That's what I always tell my kids. That's what I tell everybody. Listen, you can't complain if you don't take time to vote. There are people who would do anything to have a chance to have their voice heard. Don't take that with a grain of salt. Vote. Vote. Don't worry about jury duty. Don't worry about anything else. You know what? In this country, it's your job to vote, especially in presidential elections. Or just be quiet and don't say anything because you're an innocent bystander. You didn't do anything. You stayed out of it, which you don't really have a right to do. You're supposed to participate. And I think it's important to do that. It only takes a minute, doesn't take a lot of time. So tomorrow, it's kind of a quiet day. Nothing really happens until about 9 o'clock when the polls start to close. I mean, you might get something in the South around 7 or 8, but you can pretty much pick those right now yourself. Except for the 7 states. Despite the rumor about Iowa being in play now, I don't know that it really is. It would be a big surprise if Trump lost Iowa. But the 7 states are razor thin, and that's where the battle's going to be. But don't think your vote doesn't count if you live in New York or New Jersey or Connecticut, because it does. Or you live in Florida or Texas or wherever it might be. Your vote it still counts. It still matters. Not just for the down ballot stuff, but it matters anyway. And for the propositions, you might be interested in those too, if in your given state. But just take the time to vote, and hopefully we have an orderly transition because we need that. It's important. It really is. You know, I understand the Trump's temperament is he doesn't like to ever admit defeat in anything. That's been his whole life. He's made that way. It's what he believes in. I understand that, but there's supposed to be a protocol here, and he has not abided by that part. So if he loses, he should at least go out that way. And if he wins, kudos to him. That's the bottom line. And whatever way it is, we pull together and we move on. That's how it works. Be safe. Hopefully, everything goes in an orderly fashion. And we'll have something for you on Wednesday. Like I said, I think there will be a couple of trades. The Jets maybe move Williams. I don't think they're involved in anything else. The Giants, if Slayton hadn't taken a hit to the head, I could see him getting traded because there are teams very interested in him. I could see the Giants making a trade. It's possible. And I don't think there'll be any blockbusters tomorrow. And the biggest one that everyone's always buzzing about is Myles Garrett. I don't think that'll happen. I really don't. I would be very surprised. Cole stays, which shouldn't surprise anybody at all. I mean, I didn't think Cole was going anywhere. And obviously, it's going to be a very interesting hot stove around here with how the Yankees and Mets go about building their teams. Absolutely. We didn't talk much about the aftermath, except the night when I came on after they lost the meltdown game. I know the story was about the Dodger scouts telling you that the Yankees were a bad situational baseball team. Duh. The Yankees were a bad base running team. Duh. I mean, you needed the Dodgers to tell you that. We watched them all year. They were horrific. They were horrific on the base paths. We know that. They got more people thrown out at home plate than any 10 teams. We know that. They were terrible situationally. They were terrible on the base paths. They were terrible in all kinds of situations. They were not a smart or very well organized baseball team from that regard. They had two guys have immense years. They got hot and cold stuff out of the bullpen. They caught a little bit of heat late in the year and played better after having a couple of months where they were just awful, as we know, where they couldn't beat anybody. They couldn't win at home. They had a lot of holes in the lineup. A lot of people. You know what people have asked me the most? Why didn't they give Dominguez a chance? They were afraid of his defense. Plus, they never used anybody off the bench. They really didn't. And Boone was loyal to Verdugo, which I don't think was really a bad thing, although he is a weak hitter. He played great left field, but he was not a good hitter. Would you have liked to seen, Dominguez come up and maybe have a chance? They were not going to let him play a lot of outfield because he did not play well when he played there. That's not why they lost. They lost because an inning completely imploded. They couldn't get an out in game one, which they had to get. I told you before the series started that it would come down to getting outs in big spots against big hitters. They didn't get Freddie out with the bases loaded. He hit a grand slam, won the game. And remember, everyone talks about, you know, Judge dropping a fly ball, which he did. Volpe made in a bad play at short, which he did. Cole not covering first base with a brain warp, which he did. But remember this: if he gets Freddie Freeman out there, it's 5-1. The problem was he couldn't get Freeman or Teoscar out after that. They threw the floodgates open. They gave the Dodgers 6 outs. We understand that. You can't give a good team 6 outs. But if he makes the right pitch to Freddie Freeman and pops him up, the game's 5-1 and they're going to go play in LA. Does that mean they were going to win the series? In my heart of hearts, I don't think they would have won the series anyway because I didn't trust Rodon as far as I could throw him, and he was not going to be a good matchup against the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium and against their ability to hit lefties, which was pronounced. So I don't think they were going to get through that game anyway. But at least they would have got back and forced the game 6, and it would have been better than having that immense meltdown that's going to follow them and got them ridiculed and left a very poor taste in everybody's mouth. But the fact that the Dodgers had to tell you and their scouts had to tell you that the Yankees were a bad situational baseball team and a bad base running team, hey, if you watched them this year, we all knew that. No one had to tell us that. We'll see you later.